Alright, we're going to go ahead and skip that. Let's see if we can do this ourselves here. Let's see here. See, I'll go ahead and play it this way because it's pulling I thought you'd enjoy that. I'm going to X out, or I'm going to stop that. Make sure that's not playing. So, where that's coming from, I have no idea. I guess it's still playing in the background here. Let's see. Oh, okay. Alright, this is the Craig Kirk School of Law, and as you can see in the video, and these videos are very timing and very well needed and very well deserving to be watched, understand, and studied, because tonight's going to be a history lesson on law, and we're going to be talking about some things that which inspired me tonight, and unfortunately this is a tragic event. I'm going to go right to it in a second, but I'm going to go ahead and do the little disclaimers here and talk about some of the material we're going to be doing. Okay, that was on Santelli. So I-object Radio, you are tuning into I-object Internet broadcast, our freedom, family, property, and life-saving topics are on government waste, fraud, crimes, among many other things. I-object Radio is for pro se, pro biblical educational training and entertainment value. Don't give legal advice. But if you need training by our educational class and emergency tutoring, please call ASAP. Call the phone number. Give me an email, commonlawradio at inbox.com, commonlawradio@inbox.com. Phone number 740-824-4850. Remember, educational information and legal advice are two different categories of information. Plus, it helps to have a get out of jail free card by the state bar. And that's my ace in the hole. Ace in my hand. If you need legal advice, go somewhere else. I can't help. Nevertheless, are you tired of being a slave, servant, subject, and you wanted your freedom and rights? Call the school, 740-824-4850. Now, remember, government, its agents, officers break the rules of law all the time. Contact the school, 740-824-4850. I'm going to get out of there. This is a Santilli letter I did today on his page on a so-called common law court judge out of Alaska. It's silly because I describe why it's a fake letter, but I'm not going to go into that. So, all broadcasts shall be based on past, present, and coming wars against your rights. Now, you've seen this. I'm going to put this into a PDF. I'm going to go through this, clean this up, put it in a PDF, and you can download it. Right on the front page, you can download this. So, I'm tired of reading this. It takes too much time. But look at the material. I'm going to go through just a couple of them. Okay, so you got fictions used in court by government, how to spot fictions and defeat them on record. You know, fictions are still, I read this the other day, fictions are still being applied to you, including with lawsuits. Constitutional law, the nuts and bolts, how it works. This here, we're going to be getting into this tonight. This here. And Louis Gohmert, who is a senator, or whatever, praised the Amicus Curiae brief, and I want to show you the brief. The brief it's just amazing, this brief. I've never seen anything like it this way, and he, man, Louis Gohmert, man, it is a common law brief if I ever seen one. And we're going to talk about what's in the brief, and I'm going to show you the dates of these cases. A lot of patriots say they can't do law before 1870s or 1860s, and it'll go back and whatever it is about you believe about the common law and the Constitution and the United States government and stuff. I'm going to show you something tonight that's going to be mind-blowing. It's for me because I do a lot of legal research, and I don't do this patriot stuff. I quit doing that. That stuff's stupid, don't work. But that's up to you. You have to decide. My classes, I put these classes together, are the tools, the antithesis tools that I use, and I show you how I use them and describe what they are and what they mean to me. They are the tools, the nuts and bolts, the snap-on ratchet, click, 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 click. None of this hyperbole like on Santilli. And matter of fact, I'll go to stupid Santilli stuff. It's a fake letter meant to entrap. Moreover, it is the same old junk patriot diatribe that fail time and time again. Secrets. Did you just read the unconfirmed Open 7th, which is the amendment? Somehow it's a secret. It's a scam. Moreover, the word territory never comes into play because he's talking about this thing on Santilli did. It's just nonsense. Go read the language and discover that word of the county and those inferior courts. See the word territory. Once you study the word and phrase territory, I want everybody to pay attention to this. See this word right here, territory? I just jumped off of that over here. Sorry. Just bear with me. Territory. Understand the single word meaning. Everything changes. As far as the common law courts, every day county judges hear, rule, and defend common law in those courts. They do every day. The problem is you don't know words and phrases. The judge has many hats in law, but he or she has no power in facts. Do you know that? Did you know the judge trying to change your facts by ruling in a way that's inconsistent with facts? The lawyers are using the facts because this is the case. The facts are the case. What are the facts? They're trying. So the public defender will paint these facts, and the prosecutor paint these facts, and be working together these facts together. And I teach fact pleading. Fact pleading is absolutely probably the biggest hammer you got. Even in DUI cases, driving under suspension, and traffic cases, and tickets, facts, facts, facts. And facts can come from statutory legislation too. Like the quarter-mile distance between radaring between 60 and 70 mile an hour. I got a ticket for 70 mile an hour, but I was within the quarter mile to slow down between the signs. Or I was at 70 miles an hour, quarter mile, and I slowed down to 60 at the quarter mile, and they gave me a ticket. Did you know the quarter mile thing is in legislation? Did you know that? That's a fact. The ruling is based on facts. Outcomes, never statutes of law. The ruling is never based on that, on statutes of law, the outcome. It's impossible. The facts set the case. Why was the police officer there? Did he have probable cause? And did you have a right to be there? You got more rights, man. I cannot stress enough. You got more rights than... I can't even count them. You know, a fact is a right. Just because you're in a car and you get charged with driving under suspension and you get a ticket doesn't mean you don't have a right to be there. Doesn't mean you have a right to be there and use the automobile on the road without paying the fees too. There's something else hidden inside the paperwork, inside the databases. This is where I'm going. This is where the material that I've been teaching on is going. And it's at the cutting edge. It's the root cause. Every car has a title. Well, who was it made by? General Motors. Oh, Craig Kirk was pulled over in a Ford Escort station wagon. Hint. Ford Escort station wagon. Hint. Ford Escort station wagon. Hint. He's in court. Well, who else is in court with me? Ford. What is my possessory interest? The ruling is based on facts, outcomes, never statutes of law. Have you ever read a case where the court goes outside the guidelines to rule or punish? Why and how? So consider this. It's a fake letter, which is meant to entrap you, the victim. That's the pro se litigant, or the people are listening and saying, tell these nonsense. Moreover, it is the same old tire wore out patriot diatribe that fails time and time again. No harm done. Pete, you say secrets. Did you not just read from the unconfirmed 7th? Pete, somehow it's a secret. It's a scam. So I went on to talk about this. You can see what's here. You can read this yourself. I'm not going to read this. Don't need to. Yes. Put it on desktop. I'll put Pete's name in here. Okay, so constitutional law, nuts and bolts, and wait till you see what came up today with Louis Gohmert, whatever. So statutory construction. Do you know what this is? Statutory construction? Man, this stuff is unbelievable. The secrets behind the statute. And so take a statute, put a statute on the middle of a page, draw a circle around it. And I'm going to do this. I need to do this. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to teach people how to do this. Draw a circle around the statute and then draw a line dead center top 12 o'clock. From statute clear outside the line. Type in common law. Type in statutory law. Type in equity. Type in property rights. Type in bill of rights. Type in self-defense. Type in whatever the statute is. What is the essence of the statute? And when you do this, and I'm going to do this, when you do this, you'll see what the statute's about. And then it's up to you to say, God, that statute doesn't even mention that. Or, God, that statute has, it's pulling from this portion of the statute. The language is pulling from. It's like reading the Bible, right? We'll read the Bible. Let's go do the Bible real quick here. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. I just thought of this. I never thought about this till just now. It just came to my head. So I like those kind of inspirational thoughts. If this will open up, why that's opening up here? Okay. Okay. Let's go to I'm going to go to Genesis 1 because this is most easiest for me. Take a look here. In the beginning of what? God created the heavens, the earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. What's all in this? So you take a circle, you draw a big circle, type in God in the beginning, write God in the beginning in the middle, big circle. What's the first thing? God created heaven. Go straight up line, write in God created heaven. Next line to 1 o'clock, God created earth. Genesis 1:2, and earth was without form. So there's no form. That's 3 o'clock is void here. 4 o'clock is darkness. 5 o'clock is face on the deep. 6 o'clock is and the Spirit of God moved. 7 o'clock is on the face of the waters. 8 o'clock, so we go down there, we just incorporate a couple more statutes. And God said, let there be light, is 8 o'clock. 9 o'clock, and there was night, 3 times the judgment, biblical numbers. And God saw the light that was good. 10 o'clock, and God divided the light from the darkness. 11 o'clock, no light, God divided the light as 11. 12 o'clock, darkness. These are the elements, and I need to do this. I'm going to do this. I just thought of this. This is going to be really educational. So, that's a good idea. I'm brilliant. Or I'm getting divine information. So, whatever you want to call it. Or I'm just plain stupid. You decide. Alright. So, you just draw a big circle. And you just put out the elements. Boom, boom, boom. You do the statute the same way. So, I'm going to actually do this. And I'll make some shows about that. Alright. I'm going to X out on there. So, statutory construction. What is the mechanics of statutory construction? This here is plain out old, just straight out English. This isn't even practicing law or nothing. This is straight out English grammar on steroids. Statutory construction. It's a very big deal. Words of art is a double-edged sword. Without this, statutes are junk law. You ever heard of the Brett Doctrine? Courtroom procedures by mouth, chambers, ex parte, blah, blah, exhibit rules, affidavit spotting crimes, crimes and more crimes, perjury by government. Perjury can be done in a way that they don't even know they're committing perjury. They commit perjury all the time and have no idea that they're actually committing it. I found ways that perjury is taking place on average, just a plain Jane court case, and nobody even knows. I'm telling you, these judges and lawyers, prosecutors don't really know perjury is being committed. When you call them to the carpet, they're like, what? I never thought of that. Well, it's too late. My rights are violated. Too late. Too damn late. All right. With that in mind, now you can sue. This is where it's the including with lawsuits. Now that's where the lawsuit comes in. Because once they put perjury on the record, you're damaged. It's slander. All right, we're going to go ahead and X out of that. I've had enough of that. Okay, take a look at this, man. This is what inspired me today. This is Pamela Geller. This happened today. Whether it's the government doing, so give me a minute. I'm going to go and get into the class. See, where's the I have the civil rights class. I got too much stuff on my desktop I got to get rid of. I object. Where are you at here? Oh, it's right here in the middle. I got to get rid of these stars. Okay, let's see here. Taqiyya in Shia Islam. Taqiyya is a form of religious veil or a legal dispensation whereby a believing individual can deny his faith or commit otherwise illegal or blasphemous acts, especially while they are in fear or risk of significant persecution. Taqiyya. Look up the word taqiyya. It's lying. Government practices. You ever notice why the lawyers lie? They practice Islamic law. You go to my Islamic law material on Islam in America page in Islamic law courts, and I'm developing this material and getting rid of some of it and developing it. The United States is practicing Islamic Sharia law and had always practiced the United States Sharia law. Do you know where the idea of a more perfect union comes from? It didn't come from the King of England. They didn't take that up. It comes from somewhere else. It comes from Middle East and Islam. The Caliphate. The United States has an American white honky caliphate. We got our own caliphate. We're practicing Islam in the United States. Period. And I can prove this just by the court rules in 1938 with the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. I can prove this. Notice pleading? Where did notice pleading come from? These stupid lawyers want to say, and these dumbass judges and prosecutors want to say, what's going on here? What happened there? These lawyers and judges say, oh, we need to go notice pleading because it was just too hard because all the writs and this complicated writs and forms and all that madness. So I'm going to go ahead and do, yeah, I can't do that, I guess. Let's see. I'll let that do that while it's doing. So that's winding up here. Islamic law in America, Craig Kirk School of Law, right to travel, Islamic Democratic Party. I'm going to stop that for a minute. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to take a look at some of these links. Okay, so I have to do it again. The bandwidth is just horrendous on this computer. I got to get some more memory and stuff. Islamic law in America. See, these are some of the page links I got here. Islamic Democratic Party. Do you know the Democratic Party is a Muslim party? War against Israel, international law. I'm going to be touching on that too. Mark of the Beast. You know the Mark of the Beast is where did the idea, the legal concept of Mark of the Beast come from? It's in Genesis. Cain got it. He got the mark. God wasn't a beast himself, but he gave him a mark. Reverse. Getting arrested as terrorism, murder, jail, or prison. Craig Kirk, Obama, care, eugenics. Check out the pages. Islamic law in America. Check that page out. What happened in 1933? Gold and oil. From who? Keep that in mind. I'm going to exile this guy. We don't need that. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and let that roll around for a minute. And let's go here to this thing that happened. This is Pamela Geller. This girl, I like this girl. She's pretty cool. She's put herself in harm's way. She's got a First Amendment right. She's on a mission. This girl is on a mission. If you ever get a chance, donate to her. Pamela, she's my girl. But I don't agree with everything she says, but nevertheless, I support her. And I like her. Atlas shrugs. Middle Eastern male sought in San Bernardino mass shooting at Christmas party. 14 confirmed dead. Jihad in America. By Pamela Geller on December 2nd, 2015. I don't know whether it is or not. It's not relevant to the scope of what I'm talking about. If it's a false flag terror attack by the government, if it's Russians done it, or Muslims done it, or we did it, it's all geared one way. The effects are going to be what? To take your guns. Now I'm going to tell you this right now. Straight up. When they come and get your guns, and they are successfully taking your guns, you're going to be genocided. Do not trust these bastards in federal government or the states. The state's not your friend. The states, 1913, Bush did a document on this. His think tank. He created a new think tank. He did a document on it. And I got it. I haven't found it yet. But what he did was he showed the decline of population. Specifically who? White population. What was the decline and what was the time frame? 1915. What will happen in 1913? Anybody know? Federal Reserve Act. You know that was the penalty. And normally it's a 28-year cycle, and I found these cyclical cycles in the Bible. It is 3, 7, 8, 17. I think it's 20, 19 or 20, and 28-year cycles. There's a 20-year cycle. After the civil conflict, they brought in Islamic law. Now, Abraham Lincoln done this, but he done it for whites, not for Muslims. We're not Muslims. We don't practice all that. We practice east and north and south, Sunni and Shiite, east and west. The new rules, the notice pleading, is a form of legal pleading that the Muslims can do against Christians in the Middle East. They don't need much evidence or facts. They don't need much evidence or facts. So we're going to adopt that and practice that garbage ourselves. What was before notice pleading? 1938. Common law code pleading. Do you expect me to believe, do you expect us to believe that we are so stupid, so incapable, so ignorant that we could not do code pleading? Do you expect me to believe that? You know how absurd that is? Think about that. Do you expect us to believe that there was no kick-ass, badass lawyers, barristers, and attorneys that could code plead back in the 1800s and early 1900s? Do you expect us to believe that? Somebody caused that to happen, to bring in Islamic notice pleading. Who did that? And why? 2007, the Supreme Court brought back in the heightened standard pleading. Iqbal, Twombly, Iqbal, Connolly v. Gibson, repealing Connolly v. Gibson. That's a whole other show for another day, and I'm going to end up doing that. And I'm going to touch on a little bit of code pleading here today too. But this here is making me think about all this code pleading and this case I'm going to be talking about. And you need to see this because this is profound material. I mean, it's cutting edge, hardcore, common law, constitutional material you can't find. Hey Mike, shut my door, will you? You got to do the wood, buddy. Fill them up and I'll help you load them in. Just go. You're doing them anyways. I'm unplugging you. I'll unplug you. Shut the door. Get out there, do it. Okay, so this here makes me think about all this and what's coming up here. We have a huge problem in the Middle East, and if the military's telling the truth on this, if the military is and the Eastern nations are telling the truth on this environmental material, we're going to be showing that. My God, this is I never seen anything like this. This is incredible. Wait till you watch this video. I'm going to be doing that too. I might even, if I can find it timely, I might even go into doing it if I can. I might even go into just playing it for you. You can see it. I've never seen anything like it. It's profound, and if it's even remotely true, it's just unbelievable. Riverside Police dispatchers have broadcast a general advisory that the suspects involved in the shooting in San Bernardino may have fled in a black GMC Yukon, heading northbound on Waterman Avenue roughly 40 minutes ago. The broadcast indicates there were unconfirmed reports the suspects were male and Middle Eastern origin, armed with AK-47s and wearing body armor. God, where did he get the body armor idea from? The broadcast was part of a region-wide alert issued by San Bernardino Police. Shooter, one of three, walked into the Christmas party and started firing. Police were searching for up to 3 suspects Wednesday in connection with a mass shooting in San Bernardino, California, where as many as 20 people were wounded. Think about this. You got a place in there, nobody's armed. Now, it's armed to one thing, but to defend yourself against AK-47 is a wholly different thing with body armor. A shot, I imagine if you shot back, it would run. Even if you didn't get hit, you had a double stack 9, or you had 45. Boom, 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 clip, boom, 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 clip, boom, boom, boom. Just nonstop. It's so bad that you have to have tactical teams, one tactical guy there that can sneak up on them and have the advantage. They should have a tactical door right by all entrances, so when you come out, they can stick the gun out of a hole or something. Boom, 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 clear the area and then come out the door. It's just ridiculous having to live like that. It says at least 12 are dead and 8 injured in mass shooting inside California Learning Disability Center as police hunt for 3 white men dressed in ski masks and military gear. Local reports suggest shooting occurred at the Island Regional Center on South Waterman Avenue in San Bernardino. San Bernardino Fire Department sent out the first tweet about shooting in progress shortly after 11 a.m. local time. SWAT teams is on the scene on South Waterman Avenue, along with police are looking for up to 3 gunmen dressed in military gear and ski masks. bomb squad said to be in the process of trying to neutralize an apparent explosive device at the scene. Daily Mail. So there's videos here, and I'm not going to show all that. You can see that. So check it out. This is on Pamela Geller. Now this brought me to this, which ultimately changed my Facebook page, my cover page. So I'm going to X out there. Okay, let's see here. Alright, so here's the website, Craig Kirk School of Law. Here's my ugly mug there. You can see that. Rescue Christians, getting help Christians getting out of the Middle East. Some language on the side, and stuff like that. So take a look at school. Consider doing the classes. Go up here to the class. Call me if you're interested or got an interest in the classes or whatever. I'm going to exile that and save some bandwidth here. Take a look at this. U.S. Congressman Louis Gohmert, proudly serving the 1st District of Texas. Congressman Louis Gohmert praises a Amicus Curiae brief filed with the U.S. Supreme Court addressed illegally of revenue raising on Obamacare having originated in Senate. Look at this. Rep. Louis Gohmert, Texas 1, participated in a press conference at the U.S. Capitol today with Congress Trent Franks. This is the type. God, I just can't contain myself. This is the type of level of research I like to do and I have done. This is the type of stuff I do. This fits me to a T. And wait till you see this Amicus Curiae. Wait till you see this. I just can't contain myself. The knowledge, the drawing from back in time, way before the United States was even considered, and various. Well, that's not true. They probably considered that 200-300 years before that. They were probably making an empire before. You know, they probably already had that planned out, but I won't go into that. That's just speculation. I imagine it exists somewhere, the information, but. It says, and various other members of Congress to show support for an Amicus Curiae brief filed with the Supreme Court and Sissel versus HSS. I got to go get these briefs. He released the following statement. I'm going to open this up here. Regarding the Amicus brief back and filed by 43 members of Congress that seek to overturn Obamacare on the grounds that the law violates the Constitution origination clause. Everybody says their Constitution, the Patriots. I'm going to say everybody. That's a lie. I just told a lie. A lot of people say, a lot of patriots say, and they don't have a clue how it works. They can't even go in there and make a constitutional argument. They say, well, as soon as you raise the Constitution, the judge says, I don't want to hear that. That's never happened to me. And I made constitutional arguments every time I get in the court. Even a fact challenge based on a traffic stop is a constitutional challenge. My God, people, for the love of Jesus Christ himself, I just cannot describe the frustration. How in the hell can you go into court and say, the Constitution says, but you didn't apply it in a legal way? That's just a political statement. The Constitution, my constitutional rights, we'll put it in a brief. I don't know how. Well, you should go take Craig Kirk School of Law, because once you get done, you will be able to write a basic 1, 2, 3, 5, or 10-page brief. Motion brief support. I walk through how I do it, especially in the civil rights class. You guys got to get the damn civil rights class. I'm telling you. Pay the money, get the class, don't jerk around. It comes with tutoring, and walk you through what I did, and I show you how I came to my conclusion. It is hardcore research that will just think of a Snap-on toolbox, or I like Mac tools. Think of a Mac tools toolbox that's 6 feet wide, and the bottom box is 5 feet tall, and the top box is another 4 foot tall. And think of a toolbox that wide. Go in all these drawers and pull these tools out. That's what the class is like. And you go right to the class. Think of it that way. That's how I present, and for me, that's how I present the class, or I'm trying to present the class. The Constitution Origination Clause, the Affordable Care Act, is an absolute train wreck. Simply put, it's a governmental health care overhaul that places countless restrictions on patients and burdens families with sky-high crushing premiums. This overbearing legislation unconstitutionally was first written and passed in the Senate, which the U.S. Supreme Court found including a huge tax on both individual and businesses. Now, remember, if you deal in gold like I'm dealing, you got this problem. I just sidestepped all this tax stuff and practiced the common law. I object to it. I object radio. I object to this. I just sidestepped. So I got my hand up to the, holding up to the air and I left. The Senate stripped the title and every single word out of a very short House bill having to do mainly with veterans purchasing their first home and getting tax credit, then substituted in the massive bill of over 2,000 pages. The Constitution makes very clear that all bills that raise revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives. It's not enough that the bill number arose in the House. The Senate inserts would at least have to do the germane to the original bill. In the case of the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, it was not. That is why we have participated in the process as friends of the court. It is encouraging to see so many members of Congress step forward to participate in the filing of this Amicus Brief in the U.S. Supreme Court. This is a critical step forward in dismantling President Obama's destructive health care legislation. Now, what this really is, it's an attack on the Vatican and the Lombards and the insurance system. Now, how do I know that? Let's go over here. That's the key I'm going to get out of that. I'm going to go over here to I object law class, the first class, introduction, historical migration. Let me go through here and see justice, insurance and taxes. See lawsuit in Standard Machine Shop versus Davis. Lawsuit insurance inquisition. Pages from a treatise on law of insurance. Stafford FEMA Act. So let's go here just to make this simple. You know where insurance comes from? Have you ever read the history of the insurance material? Have you ever looked at the statutory language, just the statutory language on insurance? How it's regulated, foreign insurance companies have to be registered, the surveillance, bond overseen. Did you ever see that? Why is that? Did you know the insurance companies, through the fire departments and the police departments, would burn your house down, force people to gain insurance? You know where that came from? That came from the Vatican. The Lombards stole insurance models, and it's right here in the material. They stole the insurance models from China and India, according to the material. Actually, insurance was first found in Hammurabi, or I think it was Hammurabi or whatever. Way back when, you can Google up Middle Eastern insurance, history of insurance. It was found. There, the stone tablets, they practice insurance. Insurance is a crime under the biblical common law. It's a crime under the common law. We're not supposed to have insurance. We're supposed to be strictly liable for our material. It means every man's house and these castles and all these things. But they came along with insurance, and they're practicing something evil. Now, Obama's trying to destroy the insurance companies. For that, I'm grateful. I don't want insurance. Insurance is bullshit. But at the same time, they've stolen our rights, our materials away. And so we have to fight to get it back, or we have to undercut them and go to God. See, God kept the gold out, and then He put it right back in. Okay, we filed lawsuits. So God took the gold out and said, we're going to give you Federal Reserve. And then everybody said, no, we need our God-given rights. And okay, here they come back. Think about that. God under judgment penalty for practicing Islamic law and going into oil and gas with Muslims in Saudi Arabia. Go to oil debt. Go to my website. Go to oil, gas, debt slaves page. Oil, gas, debt slave page. And look what's happened there. 1933. Suspension of gold. HJR 192. Suspension of gold. 1913. 1933. What else happened? That's bigger than gold suspension. Taking gold away. Something else happened that was bigger. Signing an Islamic contract with Saudi Arabia for oil. Henry Ford needed what? Oil and gas. Introductory. Cooperative assessment companies and fraternal beneficiary association are organized under a mutual plan for the sole benefit of the members. This here is a crime. In the case of an assessment company, any class assessment are generally levied to liquidate specified losses as they occur. Now, in this material, statutory safeguards, every state has now its system of statutory laws not only governing organizations of insurance companies and associations and prescribing their powers and duties, but also regulating their business for better protection of the insured. It has become the custom throughout the states of the Union Caliphate, Islamic American Caliphate, as well as in England, to establish an insurance department or superintendent or commissioner of insurance or otherwise official with whom, as a rule, foreign insurance companies doing business with the state and domestic life insurance companies, with certain exceptions, are required upon organization of commencement of business within the state to make deposit of monies equivalent to securities, which are crimes, which are held as collateral by the Department of the Security of the insured. Insurance departments receive stated reports under oath from each company setting forth with some detail its business affairs, financial institutions, including assets. I talk about this in the class. Why is this important? This is one of the biggest problems we got in America is insurance companies. These insurance companies are foreign subversive criminal operative agents, black ops against us. Okay? Object of the insurance company is to compensate the insured for losses and not prevent occurrence of loss. If that's true, then why is the insurance company making so much money on us? I mean, they're killing us. They are just massacring us. They are ripping us off every which way they can. Insurance companies suck. Contracts on licensed companies. Where a statute expressly declares a policy void if issued within the state by a foreign company which has not complied with statutory requirements. Do you know where these insurance companies come from? That's the question. And that's what's going on right here. Oh, my fault. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. I'm going to go back to the page. It is encouraging to see so many members of Congress step forward to participate in the filing of this amicus brief in the U.S. Supreme Court. This is a critical step forward in dismantling the Obamacare destructive health care legislation. This is a war on the insurance companies. They need massive damage, and then what we do is we roll them over and nationalize them and take them over. That's what we should be doing. The government should be running and owning these insurance companies. These insurance companies are killing us. Not only was it an egregious bill that deprived people of their insurance policies, it didn't deprive nobody. You don't have a duty to get this or a right. This is a crime. Getting insurance, in a lot of ways, and my wife's got insurance. Okay, I'm just telling you, getting insurance is like overthrowing the United States from its foundation. And I'll show you the material I just read to you. Dates back to that time. Talks about those times. They likened, and the doctor liked, but its very passage violated the constitutional requirement that it originate in the House. Americans should also have a right to control their health care choices and providers. But we didn't. We gave it up to the health care. We gave it up to Monsanto, GMO food. They're all working together, right? All these people are working together to push you into the insurance companies, which is why the majority of Americans oppose the bureaucratic monstrosity both in inception and now. The Washington cartel should never have allowed or trample on our rights. Hopefully this time the Supreme Court will not encourage or engage in untold mental gymnastics and continue to abandon the clear language of the constitutional requirements. The Congress is putting the Supreme Court in check on this. Wait till you see this brief. The brief traces the historical foundation of the origination clause, demonstrating that the chambers closest to the people and elected every 2 years has the sole power to originate a bill that raises revenue. The origination clause is found in Article 1, Section 7 of the United States Constitution. It requires that all bills for raising revenue shall be originated in the House of Representatives but the Senate may propose or concur with the amendments as on other bills. Obamacare, which was upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court on the grounds that it was a tax, aka a bill for revenue raising, instead of originating in the Senate. The only thing that case from the House was a bill number. Here's the brief. Go get the brief. It's on Louis Gohmert House.gov news. I got the brief. Let's check this brief out. Okay, I'm going to back this up. Wait till you read it. Wait till I show you this. This is the United States Supreme Court, petitioner, Matt Sissel, whatever, Department of Health and Human Services, ETAL. They spent a lot of money representing these cases or defending these cases. Petition for writ of certiorari. Briefs of U.S. Representatives Trent Black, Chairman of the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Constitution and Civil Justice, and 45 other members of the U.S. House of Representatives as an amici curiae in support of petitioner. Look how simple this is. Table authorities. Interest in amicus curiae. Argument. The D.C. Circuit decision exacerbates the exclusive power of the House to original all bills for raising revenue, thereby threatening the separation of powers. Looks like they're resetting the government, aren't they? Wait till you read this. Wait till you see this. The D.C. Circuit proposed test conflicts with the framers' intent, historical practice, and the opinions of the court, lower federal courts, and state courts. This is incredible stuff. The history of the origination clause, early lower federal court decisions, early state decisions. The Court of Appeals decision is inconsistent with decisions of the court and miscites Justice Story's commentaries. Look at this. Justice Story's commentaries. Notice they didn't go to Cooley. Okay, if you took my class, you would know who these two guys are. Okay, let's go back over here to this again. Why is this important? I'm telling you, I just cannot stress this enough. Go down here to Chapter 28, Statutory Construction. Statutory Construction. What does it mean to talk about Story and Cooley? Statutory Construction. Cooley and Story. Story and Cooley. Other rules for time, PDF file. Chevron case, statutory construction cases. You get these cases, you get this chapter alone. This chapter alone, statutory interpretation, Congressional Research Service. Okay? Here's what Ohio says about this. Ohio legislation documents, bill analysis, and statute reports of legislation are both publications of the Legislative Service Commission and are available as part of the website. A bill analysis is detailed narrative description of each bill that is scheduled for a hearing in committee and is updated as the bill moves through the legislative process. I don't know how the government works, and these statutes don't apply, and this don't. They don't know that all these things don't apply. And can you prove this? And this is the Mark Stevens group. The Court of Appeals decision is inconsistent with decisions of this court and miscites Justice Story's commentaries. Justice Story's commentaries. Okay, well, who's that, Craig? It's in my class. I got it in there. I got a book in there I gave you. It's a free book. You go to YouTube or go to Google Books and check it out. It's free. This is part of the class. While that's rolling around, we'll do that. Well, what's the significance of this, Craig? Why does this mean anything? Because it's like the Bible. It's like anything you read, a bill, electric bill, anything. Stories, commentaries, language, law. Read Joseph Story's commentaries on the Constitution of the United States, 1833, original edition, with all by Joseph L. Story, by Justice Story. Joseph Story commentaries on the Constitution of the United States. This has to do with statutory construction. That's what I'm trying to get at. You go here and read Joseph's story. Historians agree that Joseph's stories reshaped American law as much or commentaries on the conflict of laws. 1834, conflict of laws. I mean, it's so bad with the patriot community. The government screwed you guys. I mean, screwed, blued, and tattooed you so bad it's not even funny. The government screwed, blued, and tattooed you. They got you guys thinking all this stuff to keep you out of the courts. They don't want you to know this. The feds don't want you to know this. The government doesn't want you to know this. The courts don't want you to know this. I'm telling you, this is how it works. This garbage over here doesn't work. But if you do that, I don't give a shit. It's not my problem. I don't care. I know my stuff has power, and I get results every time. Every time. I get powerful, fundamental, earth-shattering, shake the government results every time, because that's the thing that one that God gave to me Himself through knowledge, education, understanding, and sitting here day after day doing this. But at the same time, I got the tools because these are how the tools work, and this is so you guys are over here, I'm over here, and I'm like, hey, come on over here. Get over here. Take a look at this. Let me help you out here. Get my educational materials. Check this out. The House bill was not a bill for raising revenue. Table of contents continued. Even if the original H.R. 39 or 3590 were a bill for raising revenue, the Senate health care bill was an impermissible substitute amendment. Conclusion. Table of authority, constitutional provisions. Massachusetts Constitution, 1780. 1780. Reprinted in the federal and state constitutions, colonial charters. Okay, go back to my class. Let's see, go back to my class. I'm gonna back out of there. Let's go back to historical migration. First charters. Quebec, Ohio Company Associates. You ever seen that? Ohio Company of Associates. First charters. You ever seen that? You know where this is at? This is in New York. This is sitting in New York. There's a couple of them. There's one in New York and one in Southern Ohio. But this is sitting in New York. Why is it New York? Think about that. First charters. Just a few tie-in documents. Crimean War. Genocide. Hedge finance. Herod the Great. Key person insurance. Corbel Royal Dutch Petroleum. Stafford disaster. King like all the kings and nations. The papacy and civil power. American Community Survey. Tie all this in. Genocide national sizing title. Foreigners against whites. Corbel individually. This is a genocide case on oil and gas. They talk about Columbus, Ohio. Why do they talk about Columbus, Ohio? It's on my website. Go to oil, gas, debt slaves. Why are they talking about Columbus, Ohio? You guys ain't paying attention. Federal state census violates the law. Maps and pictures. Maps and pictures. And then you got recordings. So I'm going to back out of there and I'll keep that and go right to the... That's in the first class. And my class is just... It's just natural. Table of Authorities, Constitutional Provisions, Massachusetts Constitution of 1780, reprinted in the federal and state constitutions, colonial charters, and other organic laws of the United States, Washington, D.C., GOP second edition, 1878. Constitutional citations. Check this out. Commonwealth versus Bailey, 1882. Flint versus Stone Tracy Company, 1911. Watch this. The Burrell case, it is 2015. No big deal. Hubbard versus Lane case, 1916. Millard versus Roberts, 1906. This case here is 12. I don't care about those cases. They're not old. Perry County versus Selma Railroad, 1877. Ready? Watch this. Thurman versus Commonwealth, 1906. Twin City versus Nebraska, or whatever, 1897. United States versus Butler. This here's a big case, 1936. You got to go read that. United States ex rel. Michael versus James, 1875. Look at this. United States versus Mayo, 1813. Other authorities, an act against raising the money within the province within consent of the Assembly, 1650. 1650. 1650. Reprinted in the Thomas Bacon, The Laws of Maryland. 1765. 1650. 1765. 1650. Do you see that? Hell, they might as well go all the way back to the Magna Carta at this rate, because they're on the road to Magna Carta. This 1650 is on the road to Magna Carta. This road here departs from Magna Carta. This road here is on the road, the very end road to Magna Carta to us. Period. That's a whole different discussion in itself over time, history, Magna Carta, all the way forward. And there's evidence of that. This is the last road for us. This is the road at 1650 at the end of the Magna Carta. And he cited, what did he do? He bridged this road and this road in together. So what he did was he made a bypass to connect both roads together. How you like those apples? What's the authority? That don't mean anything. Really? William Temple Franklin Memoirs of the Life and Writing of Benjamin Franklin, 1818. Rest of it's 2015, 2010, 1969. James Madison notes on the debates in the Federal Convention of 1787, New York, Norton and Company, 1969. So they took 1969 and bridged those two roads together. Two parallels to the cases. They took this road here and this road here, and they merged them together. They took this road all the way back to this road. James Madison, Federalist Paper number 58. Harry Reid unveils Health Center. I don't care about that. Joseph Story Commentaries on the Constitution of the United States, 1833. 1832 was the end of debtors' prisons. Table of Authorities continued. Stephen J. Willis and Hang, blah, blah, blah. The wrong house. Why Obamacare violates the U.S. Constitution original clause. Washington Legal Foundation, Critic Legal Issues, Working Paper Series number 189, January 2015. For Priscilla Zodi and Nicholas Schmitz, the origination clause, the meaning, precedent, and theory from the 12th to the 20th century. Do you see that? From the 12th to the 20th century. Do you see that? To the 20th century. They just bridged all that together. This is what's happening right now. Interests of Amicus Curiae. The Congressman Trent Franks is chairman of the House Judiciary Subcommittee on the Constitution and sponsor of House Res 392, declaring that the origination clause, all bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur the amendment with amendments as other bills, was violated by the passage of the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act, ACA. Chairman Frank held a hearing on the origination clause on April 29, 2014. He and his 45 co-amici and co-sponsors of House Res 392, HEMI, all have institutional interest in preserving the exclusive power of the House to originate bills for raising revenue, like an ACA Congressman Frank and his amici filed amici briefs in this case. Introduction and summary of argument. National Federation of Independent Businesses versus Silvas. The court upheld the penalty imposed under the individual mandate of ACA as a tax. In doing so, however, Chief Justice Roberts, the court issued the important caveat: even if the taxing power enables Congress to impose a tax on not obtaining health care insurance, any tax must comply with other requirements in the Constitution. One of the other requirements is, of course, the origination clause that requires that such taxes must originate in the House of Representatives. In an unprecedented opinion, the D.C. Circuit Court ruled that ACA, designed to raise $473 billion in revenues through some 17 tax provisions, is not a bill for raising revenue under the origination clause because ACA primary purpose was not to raise revenue but to improve health care and health insurance coverage. Petitioner, this case raises an issue of exceptional importance: the separation of powers embodied in the origination clause that merits review. As the dissent from denial of in-bank review below put it, the panel sets a constitutional precedent that is too important to let linger and metastasize. PAC 34, the Fifth Circuit, in a related origination clause case, recognized that the underlying merits of this case appeal precedent issues exceptional importance. The history of the origination clause, its purpose, and the proper reading of the relevant Supreme Court decisions, early federal court opinions, and state decisions that interpreted their representative statute, state constitution, and origination clause all demonstrate that the court below fundamentally erred in devising the novel primary purpose test. That's called a fiction. If allowed to stand, the cornerstone of the Great Compromise of 1787 could easily be rendered a dead letter simply by the Senate labeling any revenue-raising bill with a regulatory purpose, primary purpose. You see what's going on here? Our country's being annihilated. These guys better get off their ass and do something. And we can do this too. And this kind of material, you can go in here and argue this, and this just blow the court's mind. If you can digest this mentally, and this is only 34 pages, hell, you probably look at 34 pages on Facebook with that ignorant garbage. Cats and kittens and dogs and now, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not really substantive for your life and your family. This is why I do what I do. This is why I have the power invested in the material that we use. It's not that I'm all-knowing and wise. I'm just a law librarian. I go find, hey, look, we got a problem here. I pay attention to this stuff. This stuff has power. More power than you understand. More power than I even understand. And we go in there and we digest the 34 pages. We go in there and make the case. Can we make the case against automobiles? We might. How do you know? Can we take our property rights back from the corporations? Can we unset the corporations this way? We might. Let's think about this. Let's hammer this thing out. I'm going to. I'll just put this in my long line of material to go into court with and think about. Right? That's what my class is all about. The Ohio legislation says it's kind of saying the similar thing. I'm going to scroll down here to get to it easier. Let's see. Laws of Ohio, a publication of the Secretary of State issued at the end of each General Assembly, is the only official publication of the enactments of the General Assembly. Enactments are the bills passed by the Senate and the House and sent to the governor for his signature. The publications contain all the laws passed by the General Assembly, including the ones vetoed by the governor, as well as the uncodified laws, those laws which are not permanent in nature and not codified in the revised code. It's called session law, and then they take and revise it. So you go in there and argue the session law, not the revised code. The acts filed with the Secretary of State's office are the actual statutory laws of Ohio. The acts filed with the Secretary of State's office are the actual statutory laws of Ohio. The Ohio Revised Code, whether in book or online, is only a reference and not the official record. For more information of the laws of Ohio, contact the Secretary of State's office. So I contacted them. You know what they did? They jerked me around. We don't know anything about that. You can access the Ohio Revised Code online here. It contains a codified section of the acts signed by the governor, administrative rules, written statements of law adopted by an administrative agency pursuant to authority granted General Assembly to carry out policies and intent of the statute enacted by the General Assembly are codified in Ohio Administrative Code once. See that? That's in the class. Did you know that? Every state has this too. It has to be signed by the Secretary of State's office. Got to go over there. And they got to hold on to them, and they're hiding them. They're not doing their job well. And they're befuddling the public so you can't figure it out. I figured it out. I know what's going on there, but... Do you know there's a thing called code pleading rules? So we're back into the 1800s and clear back to the 1200s, 1600s, 1700 code pleading. Here's the rules. I'm going to X out of that, so no, we're not getting to that. Here's Takia. Well, I hope this has been educational for you. I hope this has been... I'm going to X out that. Joseph's story. Hope this has been educational, informative, and entertaining. Man, we walk around, we talk about courts, and don't go into court. You can't even. It's so bad. It's so bad that I'm over here working to bridge my classes with the Sally Mae and Joe Sixpack, the Patriots and the Gurus. I'm bridging my stuff. And my stuff, it works. I mean, the material, it's just it's the crank, rods, pistons, cam. It's the bearings. It's the main caps and the rod caps. And it's the oil pump and the pan and the block and the head and the intake. It's the things that make it work. Not this garbage over here. If you want to play for free in the garbage and get nowhere and look silly and constantly just round and round and round, never get anywhere, that's fine. My classes are not for you, and I don't want you as a student. I don't want you. But if you want to become a student and you want to be hardcore about this stuff is important. That's how it works. Everybody's talking about the secrets of the court. Pete Santelli's a clown, man. The guy don't know nothing. He's reading some garbage. He's reading some garbage. And he's got these people following him doing that. And he's playing you. He's pimping the hell out of you. And I'm going to take him to task on it, too. Me and Pete Santelli's going to have a talk. Joseph's story. For the biblical story, see Joseph, son of Jacob. Joseph's story, September 18, 1779, September 10, 1845. The American lawyer and jurist who served the Supreme Court of the United States from 1811 to 1845. This guy was brilliant. Do you know these guys back in the 1800s were just goddamn brilliant? God himself put the mind in them. These guys were brilliant. You get these stupid judges and these lawyers now, these guys are stupid. I'm telling you, man. I go back to the 1800s, man. I crawl through that stuff. That's my bread and butter, the common law code pleading stuff, fact pleading, the federal rules, the rules, how they were applied back in 1800s on evidence, and how they came up in the 1920s, and what the courts have said after that, 1838, about the lawyers and the downward descent. Just madness. And the lawyers went downhill, not up. These lawyers, these judges can't even hold a candle to these guys. It says Supreme Court from 1811 and 1845. He is the most remembered for his opinions of Martin Hunter Lease and the Amistad case, and especially in his magisterial commentaries on the Constitution of the United States. You go to YouTube or go to Google Books and get this. Don't listen to these goofy patriots. Now, not all of them are goofy. Some of these lawyers are intelligent people. But don't listen to the diatribe that's out there. You want to walk into court with this mind set. Wait a minute. This is how it works. You want to shock the judges because how dare you bring up story in the Martin Hunter Lease case and the Amistad case, and how dare you bring up this stuff? First published in 1833, dominating the field in the 19th century. This work, see, it's 19th century, this work is the cornerstone of early American jurisprudence, the cornerstone. It is the second comprehensive treatise on the provisions of the U.S. Constitution and remedies a critical source for historical information about the forming of the American Republic and the early struggles to define it, its law. See this early struggles to define its law? This early struggles had Islamic law all over it. Islamic law was trying to drown out our righteous jurisprudence with Islamic black slave code laws and the slavery. Not that the South is bad, it's just they brought in this Islamic law. Jefferson, the Crans, Navy and the Marines fighting Morocco to the shores of Montezuma. Story opposed Jacksonian democracy, saying it was oppression. See this, Jacksonian democracy? Here's another hint. Saying it was oppression of property rights by Republican governments when popular majorities began in 1830s to restrict and erode the property rights of majority rich men. Kent Neumayer presents story as a statesman of the old republic who tried to be above democratic politics and to shape the law in accordance with the republicanism of Alexander Hamilton and John Marshall and New England Whigs of the 1820s. This is I'm going to say I ain't read this yet, but let's go through this and see. It says the Jackson democracy is a political movement during the second party system toward a greater democracy of the greater democracy. Toward a greater democracy for the common man, symbolized American politician Andrew Jackson and his supporters. The Jackson era lasts only roughly from Jackson's 28 election to present until the slavery issue became dominant in 1850s. See, this is about Islam. Blacks, Islam, Islamic slavery, black slavery, Muhammad all over Africa, North and South Africa, slavery, Islam, slavery, blacks. To this day, Saudi Arabia claims all the black people in America. There's a war going on. In that, there's cases we dealt with the Chinese, the Wok King case, whatever it is. There's a couple of them. Il Wok King, or whatever it is, where China said, hey, those are my people. You got the same international law principles, and I got to get into that. I talk about this in the class. Are we a slave, and our rights still attached and intact, attached to us, and enforced in 2015 from 1700s, 1800s? They are. What they did in 1860 to the New Deals, they flipped the whole government upside down and made the 14th Amendment. Oh, the 14th Amendment made us all slaves. That's right. It redefined who you were under Islamic principles and put all of you in there with the black Islamic slaves. The question I asked was, can our rights still be enforced as they were pre-1860? They can. They can. And that this brief I just talked about, this brief that we're talking about with all this material from here, this here, goes into this. This is part and parcel. This is part of the picture. You can claim your status if you want to claim your status. The question is, how do you define status? You can't be a free man in the sense that we've been taught in the last 20 years or 30 years as what a free man is. A free man is the guy that comes in and runs the counties and the villages and townships. And that's property, that's business. What is a landlord? What's a tenant? Tenant landlord? When we get down to property, it's really simple. Tenant landlord, tenants landlords. Slavery, blacks, antebellum South. I talk about this in my archives. Well, I think this is going to be the conclusion of this video here, and we're going to be done here. See, this is another example, and I'm going to save that. This is another example, just on Wikipedia. I mean, this is another example of what they're talking about the slavery and the slavery party. See, election as president until the slavery issue became dominant after 1850. And the American Civil War dramatically reshaped American politics as the third-party system merged Jackson's policies, followed in the area of Jeffersonian democracy, which dominated the previous political era. When the Democratic Republican Party of the Jeffersonian became fractionalized in the 1820s, Jackson's supporters began to form a modern Democratic Party. They sought to rival Adams and anti-Jackson factions, which soon emerged as the Whigs. We have Islam and the Ottoman Empire and the dealings in the Middle East and the Caspian Sea. See, we're always stuck over here in the Constitution, the 14th Amendment, the King of England, the Vatican, all that garbage. That's okay. That's great. That's great. It's not garbage. But why aren't we looking at international law in the Middle East? Why aren't we doing that? Walid Shoebat, Usama Dakdok, and Bill Warner completely annihilated every patriot mythology I ever had. Because my legal research from George Gordon, that's where I started kind of from. I went to Ohio State, went over there for a while, did some research on my own for 2-3 years. I went up to Gordon and some other stuff. But the thing about it is that Warner, Dakdok, and Usama Dakdok, Bill Warner, and Walid Shoebat completely destroyed every patriot mythology I ever had. Now, a lot of it wasn't patriot mythology. A lot of it was just cases dealing with American history and law, but it didn't go and explain the entire scope. And we were trained to cut out the scope of the Middle East and international law on us. The scope of international law in the Middle East, we were trained to cut that out. The law schools do it to this day. They don't bring in Islamic law and the effects that it's had on America. They don't do that. They don't do that. You know why they don't do that? Because they want you to play the Stockholm Syndrome. They don't want you to know that. Because some people might get pissed off like me. That's why. That's why I don't do that. The Christians have the same problem. They don't know what's going on. All they know is got to pray to Jesus, go to church, all the things that they do in church, and pray to Jesus and hallelujah. And Baptist, Sunday Baptist, and kids' church, and all that. But they don't know the real true history of Islam in the Middle East. A lot of them are waking up on that, of course, but think about it. Well, this is the Craig Kirk School of Law. I hope this has been educational for you. And tomorrow we'll be doing a Sabbath, a specific biblical Sabbath day. And I appreciate everybody showing up, or I appreciate you one day taking a look at the video. And we're going to go ahead and cut this thing loose. And let's see, where am I here? I'm going to go ahead and just count it out here, or disconnect. And give me a call if you want to take any of the classes materials. I'm on the cutting edge constantly of this material. The classes are real. They're the tools, the ratchets, the wrenches, the sockets, the pry bars, the air tools, the specialty tools. The classes are those tools that I teach from. So with that being said, contact the school if you're interested in taking any of the classes. This is Craig Kirk School of Law. The phone number is 740-824-4850. With that, brothers and sisters, I'll see you later. Catch you tomorrow on Sabbath.